Hi, Sweet Pea.
Hi, Mummy Bear.
Chit-Chat time.
Chit-Chat time, and time to get your hands super dirty.
Super dirty.
Yeah.
This is Michael Kennard.
Super dude.
We saw him on Gardener's World 2025, episode 7.
Yes.
When he showed us his amazing enterprise that he set up.
Mm-hmm.
He collects people's leftovers.
Yep.
Basically all food leftovers.
With the vaccae bran.
He uses vaccae bran, which is, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sweet Pea, because we didn't talk about that on this chat, which I really wanted to and completely forgot to.
But we chatted about a lot of other
We
stuff.
covered a lot of subjects, but if you want to find out more about that, then it is on his webpage, so I'll obviously be putting links to that onto our website, notjustagarden.co.uk.
Brilliant.
But what did we talk about?
Yes.
Well, we talked about Michael's transformation from anxiety attacks to being a public speaker.
Like a really good public speaker, so much that on this podcast, he was speaking so
Brilliantly.
easily, perfectly.
It was very easy.
Yeah.
And he puts it down to soil.
Yeah.
So we talk more about that.
Yep.
We talk about Michael living in a converted Luton van with a home cinema in it.
So cool.
We talk about composting humans. You brought that up.
I brought that up because that is what I looked up for his episode.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to understand some more stuff about composting. And we talked about it. He has some really cool thoughts about it.
Yeah. We have our first fedge.
We do.
And also you can tell that I find this conversation fascinating by the amount of times I say fascinating.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I wonder if we should do a word count of how many times you say fascinating.
We talk about compost heated showers.
Oh my gosh. And also about how you can burn yourself on compost pretty
65 degree compost.
Yeah, so be careful. It's not to be taken lightly.
No,
compost.
it isn't.
It's dangerous.
We talk about pros and cons of veganism.
Yeah.
And also, if Ryden, who make compost bins, compost systems, want to sponsor us by sending us a compost system, then please do.
Please
Ryden.
do. We're here.
We will happily take that.
We will.
We'll do whatever we need to do.
I'll do a great little advert. Here is me with my compost bin from Ryden.
And if you want to see any of Michael's recommendations, then head over to our website on the gardens page.
Yes.
We will be putting links to Michael's website, Instagram page, and then also anything else that he mentions through this episode.
There are a lot of recommendations on that page, so I'd really go and have a look at it.
It's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
It's building up, isn't it?
It's really building up. It's going to have like a whole encyclopedia of recommendations, which is
from
brilliant.
all our guests.
Yeah.
And if you have any comments or any feedback, then please do contact us either through the contact page on our website, notjustagarden.co.uk, or through our email address, which is notjustagarden@outlook.com.
And of course, before we start this episode, the good old dream garden structure. It is garden boundary, shed or greenhouse, 5 ornamentals, 5 edibles, 1 statement tree, pond or pool plus 1 plant, finally the favourite seating area, plus your drink, plus a plant for that area. Well,
let's have a look at this episode. This is episode 34, a good old chit-chat with Michael Kennard.
To the compost.
Welcome, Michael, to Good Old Chit-Chat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're in your purpose-built podcasting studio.
I am indeed, yeah. It's nice and comfortable. It's nice to be indoors. It hasn't rained for a long time, and it finally is, so I'm sheltering from that.
Oh, right. Well, that's good news, isn't it? Because it's been a pretty dry time. A drought already.
Gosh, it's most welcome. I've been rain dancing every day. It hasn't worked until this morning.
Oh, brilliant.
Well done. All that hard work paid off.
Yeah.
Well, we should say, for the purposes of this chat, what are we now? 3rd week of May, I would say, 2025. So it's been a dry old month. But we came across you, Michael Kennard, or Compost Michael. From your segment on Gardener's World this year, back episode 7, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And you had quite a lengthy segment, it seemed, talking about the composting that you do you're down on the south coast.
That's right, yeah. Just outside of Brighton. Just next to Brighton, a little town called Lewis.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we got to go with you in your electric powered van as you
love that van.
visited.
I love the van.
It's a cool van.
Visited various houses in the area who are involved or have signed on to your scheme. Could you explain a bit more about what it is that you set up down there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was quite a small thing at the beginning. It kind of emerged through me setting up a market garden and then finding that good compost didn't exist. So in the beginning, it was actually just an endeavour to make more compost for me to use there. But it kind of became a bit of a thing of its own. And in the end, it got so busy and it felt that the impact that I was having outweighed the market garden. So I let the market garden go onto somebody else, became a full-time composter and soil nerd. So essentially, it's been fun. Essentially, for people that join as members of Compost Club, they get an upcycled sort of repurposed plastic bucket. So that's the first waste that we intercept, actually.
What size would you say that bucket was?
It's big. It's 30 litres it holds, so it's quite a decent bucket. And the lid seals airtight, which is really important for one of the processes of composting that we use. So members get that when they sign up. They pay a monthly fee, like their kind of membership fee, which just supports and keeps us going. We come out for households every 3 weeks and collect all their food waste, and that's cooked food, meat, dairy, everything.
So the whole lot goes in?
Yeah, by virtue of using vaccae brand, so it's EM, it's efficient or effective microbes, and they pre-digest and ferment food or any organic matter, actually. But it's really useful for us because it means we can make it 3 weeks. It neutralizes odors, it starts to pre-digest and break down the food waste while it's in members' buckets. And we're now collecting almost 60, the equivalent of 60 households every week. So 180 on a 3-weekly cycle.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, it's really fun. And we don't use any fossil fuels. We don't have any mains power on site. We don't even have mains water. We just collect rainwater from a roof next to us. The only grid reliance that we have is actually to charge the electric van. We've got a green energy supplier at home. So that comes home and gets charged up. So we're out collecting twice a week, but we're speaking to a local energy cooperative right now about we've got a little bit of funding towards setting up, and then they're going to help us get the panels, a solar charging system on site. So we'll be completely off grid, which is a beautiful thing. And the way I pitched it was that I wanted Compost Club as a whole enterprise to photosynthesize efficiently, just like the plants that our compost enriches.
Oh, that's
absolutely brilliant. It really is fantastic. I mean, we were quite swept away by it, weren't we?
We were.
When we watched it on that episode. Just such a fantastic idea, and incredible that you've taken it from nothing to where you are now. So you've got the Compost Club and also BioLife Compost. What are the two things?
So what we do, and there's a third thing too, actually, as well now. So essentially, Compost Club is the kind of, I see it as I've got like 3 offerings. One is local, one is kind of national, and one is global, essentially. So the local one is Compost Club. That's a food waste collection service and processing. And then members get some of the compost back every spring, which I should have said as well, which is a really nice kind of closing of that loop.
How much compost are they getting back every spring?
So there's 2 membership tiers. So one of them where they get 1 30-litre bucket back in the spring to use. And then the next tier up, they get 3 of them every spring to use. And it because it's so alive in terms of the biology in there, you only need a ton per acre. So we sell it in like little 5-litre Hessian bags. So the other thing is when it becomes what we now call BioLife compost, it is just that, it's alive with biology. But we don't want to use plastic, so it goes in a Hessian bag. So I have to package it to order because it will eat through the microbes will eat through the bag pretty quickly, and that has happened. That has happened. So that's our kind of national offer. I can send that compost anywhere in the UK.
And you order that online?
Yeah. So people order that on our website. Occasionally people want like a sort of ton of it, which we can do, sort of bulk bag, and it gets delivered. But we don't have an infinite amount because we operate on a kind of human scale. There's a limit to the amount of food waste we can take and the amount of tree surgeon wood chips, and therefore the amount of compost that we can produce. Up to this year, every spring we always run out. But because of that, last winter we really doubled down on production. We've actually got a decent quantity now, so we're still able to kind of meet the demand, even post garden as well. We've had like an unprecedented amount of orders, you can imagine. But it's been really good. It's just made us all really busy, that's all.
Of course,
but all welcome. It's all good things. And then the third thing is just me as regenerative soils, I call it. And that's my kind of consultancy, whether that's working with people that want to set up their own composting system at home or right up to kind of farm scale, or whether I'm just starting to work with a farm down here that's sort of been newly acquired, and we're doing kind of baseline soil assessments right throughout the site. And the idea is we can then do that, in a year's time, maybe in 3 years, in 5 years, and gather those same metrics each time and actually monitor the quality of their soil, particularly in light of them wanting to demonstrate biodiversity gains and regenerative farming, basically. So it's a kind of way of making sure that's actually happening.
Yeah.
So there's that sort of thing as well.
Wow. So when you say you get this little Hessian bag, you don't need a lot, because it basically, that's your concentrate, and you put it in, you spread it amongst the compost that you've already got, the soil you've already got that probably doesn't have quite so much in the way of goodness in it, and that will just work across a sort of a big load.
Yeah, there's different ways of applying it. I mean, the other thing I've started doing, because the best way to actually apply the compost, that little 5 litre bag will treat quite happily 10 to 12 square meters of growing space. So you don't need a lot of it. It's quite sort of potent in terms of, what I call it is installing nature's operating system by adding this bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, microarthropods, worms. It's kind of all in there. So it is that kind of, natural cycling that goes on. In fact, I think it's 59% of the known species now are recognized as living in our soils. So for me, it's sort of, some people,
cool.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I first started doing this about 7 years ago, that figure was recognized as being 25%.
Wow.
So it's more than doubled in terms of, we just started looking, basically, and we're finding things, but we're also finding more that we don't know, which is really cool. So that's likely to go up potentially. But often people talk about compost as a way of adding nutrients to the soil, which it is, but there's another layer, which is that some people say it's feeding the life in your soil. That's also what it's doing. But for me, really, if you are composting well, what you're doing is you're cultivating soil biology within that decomposition. And so you're actually not just feeding the life in your soil, but you're adding life to your soil, which is really important, because we're in a bit of a bad situation with how we're managing soils, and we are losing topsoil at a kind of terrifyingly alarming rate.
Yeah, completely.
When you say there's more that you don't know about that's in there, what do you mean? How don't you know about it? And
well, we keep finding
sort of
out new sort of processes in the way that kind of plants are actually kind of in this symbiotic relationship with soil and these microbes. And what I tend to describe it as is the plant kind of around its roots, we call it the rhizosphere, this little area around the roots, or big area if it's a big plant. Basically what happens around there is what happens within our gut, with all of our gut microbiome. That happens externally around the plant root, and they're interacting with these roots and with these microbes, and there's just amazing stuff going on. And so there are just different main ways that plants are obtaining nutrients from the soil. Obviously there's partnerships with mycorrhizal fungi and those sorts of organisms as well. But there's three main ways of what we call the poop loop, which is just microorganisms eating each other, obtaining nutrition from sand, silt, clay and organic matter that is locked away from the plant because it's in these little crystalline structures, and these things eat each other and just poop out plant available nutrients just constantly. And like a good handful of healthy soil will have more microbes in it than humans on Earth. So the level at which that could be going on is kind of almost difficult to fathom. Then there's the cation exchange capacity, which is about positively and negatively charged ions in the soil and the root systems. Then a more recent discovery is what we call the rhizophagy cycle. Rhizophagy means root eating. And essentially there's a type of bacteria that is attracted through the exudates, these lovely little tasty chemical signals and carbons and sugars that are released from the root tip of plants, and they're attracted to that. They actually go inside of the tip of the root into the plant. The plant detects it somehow, sends a superoxide there and starts to break down what's now, it's lost its shell, so it's not a bacteria anymore, it's a protoplast. Sorry, I might be going full soil nerd here, but
this is so amazing.
Okay, cool.
Don't stop.
So they start to absorb and assimilate nitrogen from this protoplast from within inside of themselves. And then if that thing isn't completely broken down, they travel up the tip of the root into the root. And then if they're not fully broken down, they travel outwards and they stimulate the growth of fine root hairs, so they increase the surface area of the roots, and then they potentially shoot back out into the soil, reforming their shell, becoming an active bacteria again, and just keep going around in that cycle. So it kind of highlights.
Amazing.
It's really cool, and it kind of highlights like the erroneous nature of kind of an agronomist measuring your soluble nitrogen and then prescribing a nitrogen fertilizer without looking for this bacteria and this cycle. Because if you have that, you have a natural nitrogen cycle, and you don't need to keep adding fertilizers. Plants are like us. We eat, small, 3 meals a day, maybe the odd snack throughout the day, 365 days a year. Plants want small amounts of the nutrients and the minerals that they want. They just need that constantly replenished. So you don't want a whole growing season's worth of nitrogen all at one time.
No.
You want small amounts all the time. And that's what, as I say, nature's operating system provides with all these little microbes. I've become I basically am soil now. I think I remember finding out, we're more microbes than we are human cells, right? So
it's amazing.
It's kind of mad, isn't it? Like, so I often, we are an ecosystem. I often refer to myself as we when I'm giving talks and things.
The royal we. Perhaps that's what the Queen does as well.
Yeah, we're just little walking, talking ecosystems. And, you can, I mean, it's quite funny in my sort of endeavor to inoculate soil. I've actually inoculated myself. I used to have I sort of alluded to it on the Gardener's World piece, but because of time constraints, the context wasn't there. I just say that I used to be really shy, and it doesn't really talk about what I actually say is that I used to have crippling social anxiety to the point where I couldn't telephone for a takeaway. I couldn't speak to people I didn't know, even through the phone. I would have kind of the odd anxiety attack before I understood what that was. I just thought it was kind of weird, which I definitely am, but now I understand what that part of it is. And so what I've kind of, through doing this work, I'm able to sort of talk in front of rooms of like hundreds of people, and oftentimes without even preparing what I'm going to say anymore. So someone says, talk about soil, off I go, as you can probably tell is happening.
Of course, you've got all this amazing information.
Yeah, and what a friend of mine would jokingly once said to me, he said, you're like the soil Lorax. The Lorax speaks for the trees, and you're speaking for these microbes.
Oh, sweet.
And I liked that, but then I found out about this particular type of bacteria called Mycobacterium vaccae. You absorb through your skin, and it stimulates serotonin release in your prefrontal cortex. And like over 90% of serotonin is produced in your gut. So I thought, well, why is that? Why is it doing that there? So I looked into it, and it's like, my theory is that essentially microbes have rearranged the neural pathways in my brain to the point where not only am I not shy anymore, I don't even think I have a healthy level of anxiety. It's just completely gone. I would, as a kid, I would be at school, when you've got to read and it sort of works its way around the classroom.
Oh, I hate that myself.
I as it was getting near to me, not even that close yet, I could feel my face would go red, my heart would start fluttering. And sometimes I would just ask to leave and go to the toilet and things. I try and avoid it. Now I kind of love it. I want to share things. Microbes can't talk, right? So I've got to do it for them.
Can't argue with you. This is fascinating because when was it, Sweet Pea? Was it literally this week?
Yeah, literally
2 days
week.
ago. We had a whole conversation about exactly that. Sweet Pea had been looking up about those. What are they? Mycobacterium
vaccae.
Vaccae
or vaccae. I don't know how you say it. But I was looking it up because we saw a segment on Gardener's World about mental health and understanding why it is that gardening brings such kind of pleasure and happiness, all these kind of happy feelings. And I thought, well, obviously there's going to be science behind it because I love science, addicted to it. And so I went and looked up all about the kind of bacteria. Certain flower fragrances release this serotonin again. It makes you kind of happy inside. And then I looked up why it is that when you kind of put your hands in soil, you feel really good. There's a good sensation, and it was because of that microbacteria. And I thought it was just fascinating.
It's truly amazing, is fascinating, isn't it? And it goes back to then, we talk about tree hugging, and sometimes that people can be quite dismissive of that, but the importance of hugging trees, the importance of earthing, grounding, having
Yeah.
your bare feet on the soil, and like Sweet Pea says, just getting your hands in amongst it. We're learning more and more all the time about how important that is for the human body.
Well, I think we're relearning. I think indigenous cultures already know this,
They knew
and
it
we used to know it, and we've kind of come away from that. But there's a real reconnecting that's starting to happen now, which is really great to see. I mean, we're co-evolved with these microbes and plants that have these microbes on them and in them. I mean, there's a thing that I'm always telling people about. If you're into science, you're like this. So most people, when I give talks, I ask who's heard of B12, and almost everybody has heard of B12. If you don't consume it, your body doesn't make it, and so you'll be deficient and you need it. And then I ask, has anybody heard of ergothioneine? And it's usually like a pin drop silence. And ergothioneine is a metabolite, so it's an enzyme that's released from fungi when it's decomposing things to absorb them and eat, essentially, but they don't have stomachs, so that happens externally. And a deficiency in ergothioneine is now being really linked to things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, I think heart disease as well, basically like neurodegenerative disease. And my theory is that the way that we cultivate soil for food production now at scale, we're over-tilling, so we're chopping up all the mycelium, and if that doesn't do it, we'll spray fungicides. And I'm always saying, like, in terms of food production, the people that produce it think about the yield and the amount and the weight and what it looks like, and then in the shops it'll say proteins, carbs, and fats. And then the nutritionist will talk about different vitamins and minerals, B12, C, D, all these things. But I like to think about it as what kind of microbes are on and in our foods, because it's been shown that there's massive kind of difference between nutrient density in foods, and as much as up to 40 times the amount of nutrients found in one carrot in the best than the worst, which is like 400%. And that was, I think, antioxidants, which is like health-giving properties. I think the 20x was polyphenols, which is what gives it flavor and smell. And the only thing that seems to correlate with that difference is the amount of life in the soil. And they're finding that whether you're a carrot or a cow, it's how alive the soil was that animal grazed on or that vegetable grew in. And we're all co-evolved. We're all the same thing, really. We're a more maybe complex organism, or not, actually. When we've looked at like DNA sequencing, I think we're less complex than a flea. So we think we're really important, but in the grand scheme of things, we're just another little being on the planet, aren't we? And we're all part of this thing.
When you were working in the market garden, you set that market garden up, didn't you? Regenerative market garden. And then you started to understand more about the soil. Did you start understanding about it because you went to school or college to learn about it, or just from your first-hand experience of what was working, what wasn't working, in terms of your carrot, for example?
Good
how
question.
did you pursue that path?
Well, I've always, one of my sort of things in life is maintain the position of the learner. So I'm always learning. That's kind of my thing. But one of my earliest memories is my granddad sowing a sunflower seed with me in his greenhouse, and then going back and seeing that every week getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm quite a short person now, but as a little kid, like, this sunflower was just enormous.
Of course, yeah.
And at the end of that season, at the end of that year, he cut it down with like what felt to me like a great big machete, and put newspaper down on the ground. And it's very tactile memory, like the crunchiness of that. And he gave me a stick to hit the sunflower head, and all these sunflowers were shooting off, bouncing around, and he sort of stopped me. And as a little boy with a stick hitting something, I remember having that sort of panic of, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble here. Like, normally I was in trouble if I was doing that. And he crouched down beside me, and with one hand he held my hand out, and with the other hand he picked up loads of sunflower seeds and just dropped them into my hand, and like so many that was spilling over. And he just said to me, he said, all of these seeds have come from that one seed that we sowed. And what he said to me is, isn't that magic? And it's like, that is like nature's abundance. Like the world is magic. And so I've always had that. That's a long way of saying I've always had an interest in growing. It had me from the beginning. It was always a hobby thing alongside. I worked in construction. I was an electrician by trade.
Oh, right.
But as soon as I was able to, I returned to Brighton and got an allotment, which took a few years of waiting, but I got one.
Of course.
And so it was always, I used to, without knowing much about the science behind any of this stuff, I would refer to my allotment as my healing space. Like it didn't matter what was going on. I would go up there, I would start doing things in the soil, and it was like the world's kind of problems just evaporated from me. And I was just very present. And so I've always just intuitively kind of felt this stuff. And it's like now I can kind of retrospectively look back and kind of know what was happening in terms of the science and all of that stuff. But I think it's really interesting. I've been talking a lot to people about the difference between people having an understanding of things sort of intellectually, but the people that really tend to do things are the ones that actually feel it. And I kind of always felt it without actually understanding the side of it intellectually. So it's just been this unfolding journey. And as I say, I always want to learn. And so a lot of it was just sort of trial and error, watched a lot of things on YouTube, worked with some other gardeners that I knew. Instagram's great. There's this lovely little network of people doing similar things that you can kind of, you can just send someone a message now and just be like, hey,
bounce ideas.
Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine, it was really sweet actually. I look back, the first message he sent me was years ago. And he just sent me a message. We both had like accounts about our allotments, and he said, "Oh, looks like we're both into the same thing."
Sweet.
Yeah, it's really nice. I know him quite well now. So yeah, just kind of doing it really, and then it's an interesting one in terms of sort of academia. I mean, I left college and then became a tradesman. So I've not gone into like high levels of that. It's very much kind of self-taught. I did do the Soil Food Web School to learn about all of that stuff. But there's just always more as well. So I'm just always constantly learning. And it's quite funny now. I've been asked to go into the local University of Brighton at the end of this month in a week or two to give a presentation to students and local allotment holders and
amazing
various things like that happening. So it's quite funny that I've sort of skipped all of that, but now I'm going in to speak at these institutions, which is funny.
Absolutely fantastic.
That's really cool.
Imparting all your knowledge. And so that's from the sort of soil point of view and your love and the instinct for that. But then you go and set up a business from it. So where did that first idea, where did that start?
Well, that was so I used to live in a world as I saw it. Like your reality is kind of as a result of your intention and your attention. And I thought the best you could do as a human on earth was the least bad. And we talk about our footprint being such a negative thing, and you've got to reduce your impact, minimize your impact. And so I converted a Luton removal truck. And my now wife and I lived in that for almost 3 years, just off grid, solar panels and all of that stuff. I mean, it's very nice. It was like I had engineered oak floor, and it was all wood cladding, and we had a kitchen with a little gas boiler and hob, a little fridge, a toilet and shower, double bed. Like we had a little home cinema in there. Like it was very nicely done.
That sounds amazing.
Just because I have those kind of skills. So we were doing that, and then in that kind of period, I guess, not having to work so much, I was kind of reading a lot again, and different things, practical things, spiritual things, and I came across permaculture and just the possibility for regeneration, be it like regenerative, and that kind of sparked this kind of, it was like a realization, almost like an epiphany. Like I almost felt this kind of cloud of kind of climate anxiety that I wasn't that consciously aware of until it dissipated. And it was like, you can live well, and you can, the more you do, like if you live regeneratively, the more you do, the better this place is. And your footprint isn't a bad thing, it's your legacy. Because I want to have lived and lived well, and so the more I do, the better it is the way I see it. So it was like trying to figure out a way of doing that, and it was kind of really instigated by finding out that we were going to be welcoming another little human into the world. And so I looked at kind of brain development and child psychology, and came to the realization
that is interesting.
children, you can tell them all you like, know this, speak like this, act like this, but really, particularly in their formative years, the behavioural patterns that will echo throughout their lives are being set. And the biggest influence on that is as what would evolutionarily been the tribe of influence. For us, and lockdown had just hit, the COVID times, so that was just me and my wife. And so I thought, well, how am I going to exemplify a positive impact on the world, because that's the best way to influence this little guy, he turned out to be a little boy, having a positive impact.
Is that still in your Luton van?
No. Well, I still have it, but my wife Bella, she said, look, I want a home birth, and that not in a van, and so we had to actually move into a house. He's actually about to turn 6.
Oh, okay.
So it was then that this really became my kind of intentional thing. And so what I wanted to do was be able to, initially it was an experiment. Could I essentially make a form of activism my work, and therefore be able to do it all the time? So the Market Garden, then Compost Club, became this kind of this experiment really, and then that kind of worked, and now it's kind of broadened into like, can I make like nutrient cycling towns and cities and just have compost clubs everywhere, creating green jobs,
franchise it,
green jobs, closing the loop on food waste and wood chips from tree surgeons, creating living compost, as opposed to the conventional stuff. I mean, that was one of the things missing from garden as well. It was the only thing I didn't like was that it was cut, which might have just been a time constraint. But it could have been political. I don't know. I haven't asked them. But before, the part where I'm looking through the microscope and getting excited about all the microbes, before we looked at mine, we looked at the most expensive, premium, peat-free, organic, sustainably sourced compost from the garden centre in a plastic bag. And it's just dead. And so I was really looking forward to, however many people watched Gardener's World, seeing that contrast, and we didn't get it. But I keep sharing it. But
I wonder why that was cut, because I feel like that message is given across quite a lot, or maybe it's just from conversations we've had with people. But I think it's just known now, isn't it, that something from the plastic bag from your
not good.
Garden centre has just got really not very much in it.
It can say all it wants, but it won't have anything in there.
Yeah, this one even had some sort of bio something kind of claim on it, but it was It was just a bit of bacteria and nothing else. No colours. It was just like a transparent slide.
I know this is also controversial to say it, because we are trying to reduce and cut out peat use. But have you done a test of compost from the garden centre, peat-free, peat compost, and what you're creating?
When I do my trials, I only use peat-free.
Okay.
But I've got some amazing. This year I've got various edibles, but I bought 12 varieties of perennial plug plants, and there were 6 of each variety. And so I put 1 of each one just in 100% our BioLife compost. I put 1 in a blend of the best commercial stuff at the garden centre with 10% of ours, and then the remaining 4 of each were just in the commercial stuff. And they've the 4 almost universally have all kind of stunted and not really grown that much, and it's been ages. The ones in kind of 10% are about, I would say, about 50% on the whole, kind of broader and bigger. The ones that are just in ours, some of them are like double the size of that.
Wow.
It's really crazy. We've got I think it's the dianthus is already flowering, and it's literally double the size or more than the one that's in 10%, and obviously the ones without it at all.
That speaks volumes.
Because it's exciting for me to see, because I know about the science of it and I see the biology, but to just see the kind of the real world sort of tangible manifestation of what this does, it really kind of reinforces and re-energizes and reinvigorates my kind of desire to be doing this, because the more people I can get this compost to, the more visually, if plants are doing that much better, as I said earlier, the nutrient density of food that can be produced, I think it's something like most food that we produce, whether it's organic or conventional or regen, is about 20%. It's on the sort of 20th percentile, which is, it could be so much better.
I am intrigued to know how your compost is looking against peat. because if it's showing that actually this is exactly the same or better, then it reinforces even more the message of let's ditch the peat, let's put all that
Just
to
compost
rest.
ourselves.
Just compost, not ourselves.
No, not
Well,
ourselves.
eventually.
But you can actually.
Yeah. There's a company called Recompose in America that does it.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, the whole composting your body, because it can give a lot of compost and very, very good compost back into the earth. And I feel like wouldn't that be such an amazing way to kind of put back what you've taken from the earth? You kind of go, it's a good cycle.
Absolutely.
Instead of cremations and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder, thinking about it, I wonder if that depends on what is in you. So what, if you've just been eating loads of rubbish, do you just actually, you put toxins back into the earth and nothing will grow there?
Microbes are amazing things, you know, they're bioremediators. So they'll sort that stuff out. They'll kind of not just neutralize it, but potentially turn it into really good plant food.
Great.
I mean, it's definitely better. I mean, I'm always talking about, people are always really into carbon, and I'm always saying to people, you know, there's not more carbon in the world. It's just displaced now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're all carbon structures. And I love, like, for me, like, soil is like the foundation of life. It's where the atmosphere interfaces with the bedrock that is this planet. And it's that skin that where everything's happening. Like, because of gravity, it's where we happen too. It's where carbon cycles, nitrogen, water, like everything cycles through the soil, and everything that is here has cycled through the soil at one time or another. And will again. If it's plastic, it might take a long old time, but it will. And so for me, like, I love the idea. It's almost like reincarnation. Like, this bit of carbon that I'm currently occupying temporarily maybe used to be a dinosaur's claw or tooth or egg, and who knows what it's going to be in the future. It's quite exciting. But so it's not like I'm going to become like another person after I go. I'm going to hopefully become compost, and then the daisies, and then a bee's going to pollinate from that. And, you know, that is the natural cycle of things. There is like I get a bit, I'm heavy science, but I'm also quite heavy woo, right? And when I look at the world,
heavy woo.
It's just, all that goes on is this playing out of energy. Energy moves from one thing to another thing. That's all that happens. And we can sort of zoom in and look at different things in isolation, but ultimately that's all that happens. And so what I feel like we've done as humans is removed ourselves from from the natural cycling systems, and we've developed this thing called waste. And outside of humans, there's no such thing. Energy moves around in this this beautiful little dance, really. And so I think that ultimately all of this sort of, all of these climate issues and all of these things, it's all underpinned by the soil. If we reintegrate us as humans, as humanity, into a cycling system which is back in harmony with all these other natural systems, we get to carry on living happily ever after. It's just that we're out of balance. We're kind of like what happens in your gut. You get a dysbiosis and you get the wrong types of bacteria and things forming. And then the things that should be making you healthy can make you, cause inflammation. We just have that playing out on a kind of planetary scale, and we are the out of balance bacteria, but we don't have to be. We can just compost everything, and as we've said, each other eventually. And stop producing things that don't compost. Like, stop making these weird forever chemicals and forever plastics. It's not necessary.
No, it isn't.
I do have so many more questions, but I'm conscious of time. So I think we'll have a look at your dream garden, and hopefully I can pick your brain a bit more as we go through it.
Yes.
So I'll hand you over to Sweet Pea.
Well then, Michael, what would be for your dream garden, your garden boundary?
I mean, I kind of have two answers for this, because I love a walled garden.
Yes.
I do love a walled garden.
It is the best.
But the sort of rewildy, permaculture-y version of me loves a kind of living willow fence. That kind of, it keeps growing and you keep weaving, and I think they call it a fedge.
Do they?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And so I love that from a kind of more organic aesthetic. So it would depend if I were in an urban environment, really, or whether I were out in a field. If I were out in a field, I wouldn't be building walls.
No.
Where would you prefer to be?
I would be out in a field with my fedge.
Are you pretty urban at the moment?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between now. So Lewis is kind of on the edge of Brighton. So I'm from Brighton originally, and I moved right out into the country, and it was actually too quiet, and so I'm in between now. But I sort of see myself long term, hopefully living on a farm or something one day.
Okay, so surrounded by, well, in the middle of the field.
Yeah, so I guess hedgerows really is probably the likelihood if I'm on a farm.
But if you had this fedge, are you seeing it as being quite sort of uniformly built? Because I've seen some spectacular ones where there's real symmetry to it in the sort of arcs.
I much prefer trying to mimic natural patterns, very much in the sort of permaculture design sense. The kind of the controlling kind of human in me loves straight lines, and as I say, like the organised, working construction,
Topiary,
nice walled garden.
Right,
but actually, I feel much more at home in a much more soft,
That's a good point.
much more natural environment, because that's what we are and where we're from.
Yeah, entirely. I get that entirely, because I've always thought, because obviously I've thought of what my dream garden would be, and I find it absolutely impossible because each guest comes up with something really cool, and I'm like, right, now I need to add that to my dream garden.
Like a fedge. We haven't had that before.
Yeah, we haven't had a fedge. Now I want a fedge. But I have thought to myself, because gardens are so important for me when I come home from school, I love going out into the garden. I love going into the greenhouse. I love going to the veg garden, to the flower garden, to the pond, checking things out. And I have always thought, when I've seen in Gardener's World these formal gardens and the topiary and everything's pristine and the borders are perfectly cut in and just everything's symmetrical. And I've always thought, oh, that's very pleasing on the eye. But thinking about it and thinking about what you said is feeling at home in your own garden. I wouldn't feel at home if I had that even in my own garden. Whereas having the informalness of kind of hedges and the wildness of it would be far more homely and far more pleasing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was thinking that, like, those are the kinds of gardens it's nice to visit, but actually I wouldn't be able to relax in that garden because I would constantly be seeing bits that need pruning.
Bit of asymmetry.
If you've got topiary, I wouldn't be able to leave it alone. I would see a bit all the time. Like, working in construction for a while, I was fitting kitchens and bathrooms, and I can't. If I go into someone's kitchen, I usually can't look at it very long because I'll see. I can see doors out of line.
Yeah, so don't look at ours.
Well, I used to start trying to line them up with the hinges if they're adjustable, but then you find that the units or the worktop are actually not level, and you just can't. You can't fix them. And so I just don't look anymore.
No.
So I would feel like that. I would feel like that. It'd just be, my anxiety would come back. I wouldn't be able to relax in that garden.
We would make you very anxious with our garden because we're on a hill. And so everything that we want to put in, like greenhouses and sheds, we have to first of all flatten off a bit. So we will dig a terrace.
So like a terrace,
every single thing tips down the hill.
Even the greenhouse.
All at an angle.
It's very funny.
I try to turn a blind eye to that.
You do.
Would you have views from your garden? And if so, what views?
I would, if we're thinking about my ideal garden, it's going to be outside my little farmhouse. So it's just going to be looking out. I've just got back from a really inspiring permaculture farm week in Wales, North Wales, and that was just beautiful, looking out all the hills, and then you could see the sea and the sunset. So I'm going to take that as my setting.
North Wales.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So on a west coast, so you had the sun setting in the
It was over there, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we actually went and spent the last evening dinner we cooked on the beach, and that was my first sea swim this year a couple of weeks ago. It was just beautiful. Really amazing. I'm doing this regenerative farming course just to sort of refresh things. And there was about 40 of us there in this cohort. So it was just, by the end of it, it was like we were like this little family, like all meal times we were together, we were all learning together, and such a beautiful thing. And so I'm in this little bubble at the moment, and we're doing that until November. So we'll be getting together again on the farm in July and in November.
So you do it remotely the rest of the time, and then
we do a weekly sort of 2-hour Zoom with different sort of guest lecturers. Really cool, really interesting perspectives, and then there's sort of 3 week-long sort of for on-farm residencies, if you like,
Yeah.
where we have like an intensive with different people that come and teach us things, which is
How
really
interesting.
nice.
What is the name of that place?
It's Henbant Farm. The actual course is a collaboration between Henbant Farm and the ecosystem restoration communities.
Right.
And they've set up, I think Henbant is an ecosystem restoration community, and they've got 80 around the world, and they're looking to create more. So it's kind of, they've done rewilding courses before, but this is the first regenerative farming course. But by all accounts, it's gone really well. And I think they're just about to, or they may have just launched sort of setting it up for people to join for next year as well. Because I think we started at the end of February. So we've been going for a little while, but it's been
February to
fantastic.
November. You said you've got 40 of you on this course. And are they from varying backgrounds, or have they all got businesses set up like you have?
Really different stuff, yeah. Some people are farmers already. Some people are kind of returning back to their family farms and want to have a bit more of a hands-on approach and maybe change the direction and get into regenerative farming. Some people are about to inherit land. Some people are wanting to acquire land and have an idea of what they would like to do with it, whether that's as individuals, or some people are looking to do that as sort of like a sort of co-op, like a collaborative approach. There's lots of various things. There's people that want to do sort of regenerative farming consultancy, and they're learning different elements that way. Real mixed bag, really. I mean, for me, it was more just having a bit more of a kind of, I don't really know what my calling for it was. I just kind of, I'm on my own quite a lot doing this.
Great.
So that just being in that community again and potentially looking, I mean, I do see myself as growing again, and I would like that to be a bit of a bigger scale. So one day being a farmer was kind of my thinking, but at the end there's a kind of, we spend the last week with different designers, and actually we design what our project's going to be. So for me, that was going to be a hypothetical. But actually, as a result of doing this, I've connected with a local farm that's just been acquired, and I was there this week and I'll be there next week, taking sort of, I think I mentioned, like baseline soil analysis, and then that potentially becoming an ongoing thing, and maybe being involved there in terms of setting up what's going to happen there. There's quite a lot of diversity, which is really good as well. I really like that.
Brilliant.
In the plans for that. So it's kind of, it's really, I'm in this
Exciting
little
times
bubble.
ahead.
Yeah.
Would you like a shed or a greenhouse in your dream garden?
I'm going to go, I mean, thinking big, it would be a polytunnel, but for the garden part, I would say greenhouse.
What style greenhouse would you like?
I would, if from a garden aesthetic, I love a kind of old fashioned kind of white painted wooden greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
It's like one that has like a grapevine growing up and then in.
Yeah.
So you've got your dessert grapes growing inside, although they're planted outside, they grow into the space.
Gorgeous. Yeah. What sort of size are you thinking for your greenhouse?
As big as I can fit.
You could get some of those greenhouses which almost have separate rooms to them.
Oh,
like something like that? Cool.
So there's a little seated area maybe at one end as well, so I can sit and take it all in.
Okie dokes.
I mean, that smell would be intoxicating, wouldn't it, in the summer with all that veg going? But
yeah.
I mean, the other good thing about a greenhouse or a polytunnel is you can keep growing things all year round that you might not otherwise.
Presumably, you're not wanting a heated greenhouse, or would you set up something with solar?
I would have compost heated, wouldn't I?
Of course you would. What was I thinking?
Oh my
I
gosh!
mean, there'd be a compost heated shower.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've done that before. Not on site currently, but I plan to when I get a moment. You can do that. Yeah.
How do you set that up?
So you can have like a kind of coil of pipe running throughout a hot compost pile.
Yeah.
And if it's a decent size, it can maintain those temperatures for a while. And then you can, I mean, I've done one simply where so the water goes in and it goes around, and then you just have an on and off. But what happens is the water that's in there at kind of 40, 50 degrees will then run out, and the cold starts coming through. So what you would do is you'd have like a tank, a water tank, and you could have that connected to the mains with a float, so it just keeps itself filled. And you can have a pump, and that could be solar powered, that pumps the water around from the tank through the pipe. So you've got the pipe in the bay actually acts like a kind of heat exchange, and then you've got a constant supply of like passively heated water in your tank.
That is so cool.
So amazing.
There's a thing called they call it a biomiler, which is an enormous compost bay, basically that. But what they do is you can run that pipe once it comes out of that bay up and down the ground floor of a building, and you just have passively heated underfloor heating in your house.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's what I will have one day, hopefully.
That is so... I've never heard of that, the underfloor heating and the shower being...
Which is brilliant.
You can make such a big bay just with lots of woody material that you feel in the summer, like late summer, so that it starts to really heat just as the autumn comes in, and then it will peak in the winter, and then it will start to cool down as the decomposition slows as we come through the spring and then into summer. And then you empty it all out, maybe do a big volunteer day so people can learn about it, harvest all that, you'll have like golden compost. And then you just refill it again. At that time when you don't need, you want it for your garden, but you don't need it for your heating. And then you just do that once a year.
Gosh, when you start thinking about those options, it's endless what you can end up doing with your compost and being off-grid as well. And
completely
ticking a lot of boxes there.
Well, and people do like what they call like a hot bed, so you can have like a big pile of like high nitrogen, like manure or something, generating heat early in the spring, so you can give your seedlings a head start in the greenhouse as well.
Those are really, really cool. I mean, the other day I added some of our homemade compost to a bed, and I put my hand in it. I was like, oh, that is warm. And it was really toasty, and it was like, gosh, that's brilliant. That.
Well, our kind of food waste composters, it's a Rydan food waste composter. They operate just by microbes. They generate up to kind of 65 degrees pretty consistently. So it's too hot to keep your hand in, and I know that because where it empties at the other end, it was blocked. One of them was blocked with a pineapple top once.
Oh no!
I didn't know it was a pineapple top. I just knew that I was adding and nothing was coming out. So I had to keep putting my hand up. So I was laying on the ground, put my whole arm, my whole sort of elbow upwards in there, feeling around. I could feel something, but it was so hot I had to keep whipping my arm out.
Really?
And there was steam.
Wow.
There was like water vapor evaporating from my arm, and I have to like waft it around to cool it down because it was so hot. I had like a few goes before finally the pineapple top came out in my hand, but then all this like almost scalding hot compost came flying out. It's great in the winter though, like my wood chip piles that get dropped off by tree surgeons in the winter when it's quite cold, like my fingers start to sort of slow down, and I just plunge them into the wood chips, and I feel them kind of thawing out, and then I'm able to carry on working again.
In your dream garden, what would be 5 ornamentals that you'd absolutely need?
I really love iris. It's the first time I've been growing them this year. And I went and gave a talk for the growers and the designers up at Tom Stuart Smith studio end of last week. And they've got like that plant library, and the collection of them there was just, I've got some, as I say, I've started growing them this year and they're really gorgeous. But to see that, I'm feeling very inspired. So next year I'm going to be getting a much more more of a diversity of bulbs, I think, and finding new little pockets of places where I can grow them. So that would be there.
Any favourites of irises?
Just nothing specific, really.
No.
There's not really any I don't like.
I
mean, they're all gorgeous.
I don't know if there's one particular
that you go for more.
I mean, I love the kind of classic sort of purple, that sort of purpley blue, that really rich kind of vibrant. I love that. But there's also some amazing sort of pink and yellow and
all of them. I just go with all of them.
Yeah, all of them. And then I love like the kind of the digitalis, the foxgloves, those kinds of things, and the bees go nuts.
Love those.
Big, striking again. I like that height, that sort of drama. Of it that's introduced into the garden,
and there's a wild feel to them as well, isn't there?
Exactly that. I mean, I tend to go with that sort of thing. I mean, another one I would go with would be Eryngium, and again, it's almost like teasel, like with that spikiness, and again, it's
my god,
it's that kind of, and often they've got that sort of almost purpley glow.
nice.
You know,
They're amazing.
I'm really into that kind of feel in the garden. I love a clematis, like climbing up, and there's obviously different types as well. In my back garden, I've got quite a pale one, but in the front, climbing up the front of the house, I've got this. The flowers are actually bigger than I thought they'd be, like quite enormous, like vibrant kind of pink and red and like dappled other colours on them, and it's just. My wife thought that it was passion flower. I said, no, those aren't passion flower. They're just really striking.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then the other one, my fifth one would be, like the bleeding heart. Those look like little fairies.
The Dicentras.
We've got one of those that's just white. And I got it as a tiny little thing a couple of years ago. And it's really starting to take off now.
Beautiful. They're all quite showy flowers that you've gone with, showy ornamentals.
Is your flower power?
Yeah, a lot of flower power. What's your garden like at home? Have you got a decent sized patch?
It's not very big. It's decent. What I tend to do, I would always tend to do more edibles. So the reason I have gone for these sorts of flowers and grow these sorts of flowers is they kind of need to hold their own in amongst all of that. So they're kind of, my borders are all kind of, my friend, he calls it edimental. So there's a lot of edibles and there's a lot of ornamentals mixed in together.
Yeah, I love that.
So I'll have like multi-sown beets and leeks and raspberries growing up and all sorts of things in and amongst all of this. It's a bit chaotic almost, but I like, again, it's that more natural kind of thing. Our local football club here, Lewis Football Club, I'm involved in, and we actually set up a community garden in an L shape within the stadium. So what we do is you come in on one side of it, it's like annual veg beds. And then as you go around the corner, we've got a very mini, but a very perennial edible food forest.
Wow.
And so my garden's got a bit of that to it as well.
Yeah.
So lots of fruit trees, fruit canes, bushes, and just, lots of things you can eat. And I'm very much into that perennial nature of things as well, both in terms of the vigor for the plant, but then the interactions with the soil and those microbes establish. And they'll grow exponentially year on year. Not that I've got anything against annual veg. I love it. It tastes great.
No.
And obviously there's certain flowers as well that, will sort of self-seed and come back each year. But I'm really into the perennial nature of things.
What would be 5 edibles?
Edibles. So I've gone with squash. I love a squash patch. I've always grown butternut squash. But last year, I think it was something chonkier, like the same name as the beetroot. It was this green, ugly-looking thing. I think it's an Italian variety, but it was delicious. It was like almost bright orange flesh inside, and it was really, really tasty.
Did you say like a beetroot?
The name, it was something chonkier.
Okay.
Like the candy beets.
Okay.
But any squash, really. I love it.
Beautiful, yeah.
And
they're so versatile, those squash. Butternut, you can... I for a very long time substituted all potato for butternut, so I'd even have it as a mash on top of any pies that I made.
Good.
We do.
Still now, really, we're butternut rather than potato, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are.
We were vegan for about 8 years, and what we would do as like the kind of central to our kind of Sunday roast would be to slice a butternut down the length, scoop out the seeds, and then just kind of score it crisscross. Drizzle it with oil, but fill up that little hole with a kind of sage and onion sort of stuffing mix. And roast it like that. And we would just have like half each because we loved it.
I've done exactly the same. I was vegan as well for 2 or 3 years. Why did you stop being vegan?
I think the soil taught me, Firstly, my energy levels were not great, but also I realised like the soil's taught me a lot, but like the way that as I say, like energy moves mostly as things eating things. And a lot of the sort of horror stories about meat and why it's so, for example, like beef being so high in omega 3s and 6s, so it's really high in 6, and they were saying it's really bad for you, blah blah blah. But actually, if cows are, firstly, if they're mob grazed well, they'll regenerate the soil, and if they are completely like pasture fed, they'll be way more rich in omega 3s than 6, and they're actually quite healthy. They're very healthy for you. Lots of different reasons, really. Just kind of getting into farming and how that works, I suppose, connecting with that. And just, it feels to me like a more kind of natural way. We got really into kind of wanting to not eat, well, I don't call it food, it's ultra processed junk. I think you've got to be careful. If we keep calling it food, people are going to keep eating it.
I completely agree.
Words are really powerful, so I don't call that stuff food. Someone said to me one time, "What's in that butter, that vegan butter that you're eating?" And I kind of didn't want to look, but I did, and it's this litany of things. And
vegan butter,
I've never heard like of that. Vegan cheese and like the fake meats, all these things were kind of started to freak me out a bit. And so I, for a long time, I ate just fruits, vegetables and nuts and seeds, but that wasn't sustainable either. And what we wanted to try and do is tap into a local, seasonal, organic, natural diet. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. We don't eat a lot of meat, very occasionally, but one of the things I've had recently was, and I've never had it before, but was just like a wild caught venison, very lean, but I mean, it was delicious. The first time I ate meat after like this sort of probably what was 8 or 9 years, a friend of mine was very excited and very shocked that I'd got it, and it was like this grass-fed beef thing, and it was just like, he was like, "How is it?" And I couldn't speak. I was like, my body was just in this moment of like, thank you. This is what we need, you know. And we're quite lucky where we are.
The issue about meat is that it doesn't taste nice. I think it tastes amazing.
Yes,
it smells amazing when it's cooking. And so that's definitely not the issue for us.
No,
the taste of it.
Well, I think that for me there was the climate related thing, you know, and again through working with farmers and things now, and looking at all the carbon cycles and like the methane issue and all these things. It's like what we say is it's not the cow, it's the how. If you've got an intense, massive herd of cows and you're bringing in food from elsewhere, then you've got to count that land that's being used to produce that food. And then they're not eating their natural diet, which affects their metabolism and what they're releasing, the quality of the meat, all these things. So if you can have kind of a small head of cattle, like basically whenever I eat meat, I know who's farmed it and where and what that animal ate. And if it's not exclusively grass, then I probably wouldn't eat it.
Right.
So I'm pretty fussy with it. But going back to like the soil and getting a bit sort of sciencey again, you know, the theory is that we evolved nomadically, and just as you say, we would forage and we might find an animal and hunt animals sometimes, but that wasn't a guarantee. And one of the things that we have is this amazing ability, you know, if you're in the woods and it just starts raining and you get that sweet forest smell.
Oh,
that smell is like these compounds we call petrichor, and the name we give to them is geosmin, and we can smell that, we can detect that at 5 parts per trillion. So for context, that is one single drop in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We're more attuned to that than anything else. We're more attuned to that than sharks are to blood in water. We don't know exactly why, but my theory is my theory is it
finally we're doing something great.
It lends itself to that theory that we were nomadic actually, and it would have been very beneficial for us to be able to follow our noses and find where there was healthy soil, because if there were healthy soil, there's likely to be a good forage.
Interesting, yeah.
Well, then what are the 4 other edibles for your dream garden?
Where was it? Squash. I have a lovely little lemon tree. Produces the most amazing, like I don't think I'd ever tasted a lemon until these little lemons. It's quite small still, but it's getting there. And we had one the year before last, and then we had 2 last year. I'm hoping for more this year.
And don't you treasure that lemon? We have a tiny one as well. And first of all, I really like how pretty it looks on the tree, so I don't want to pick it because it just aesthetically really pleases me. But then when you get that one lemon, you really take care with how you prepare it.
You
don't
do.
you?
It's the best,
and you have every part of it. You make sure you have the rind as well.
We did with one of them. We just blended it up, the whole thing, and then put some honey and
ginger.
Yes, that's it.
Beautiful.
Blended all that up into a little syrup and just kept that in the fridge. So anytime you started to feel a little tickle, my wife's a singer, so anytime there was a little tickle or whatever, it would be a spoonful of that in with whatever drink, and it would sort it out. Lemon, and then raspberries. I absolutely love raspberries that we grow ourselves. We've got a couple of varieties. We've got some of the golden ones as well.
We do,
which are really tasty. I love rhubarb. That might just be because it's this time of year, but I just do love rhubarb. Stewed rhubarb on everything.
Really?
Okie dokes.
How's your son with all these things? Is he a keen eater of things in your garden?
Absolutely loves it. Yeah. Well, there's two of them now. We've got a little girl called Vader as well, and she's actually really into the growing and the plants and the flowers more than Cosmo. Actually, he's a bit more kind of sort of figuring things out and maybe a bit more sort of mechanically minded.
Yeah.
Whereas Vader gets in the garden and she just sort of falls in love.
How old is Vader?
She's almost 4.
Right.
So we've got an almost 6 and a maybe like 4 3/4.
Yeah.
3 3/4, sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And the last one?
So this year from seed, I'm growing pomegranate, and a friend of mine did it a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
Not from seed, actually. He bought the tree, but that was really satisfying. When my wife makes these dals, I always put pomegranate seeds on. And so and just watching this little thing grow from seed was really exciting. I've got a few of them on the go, but I only really need one. But that I'm really enjoying, and I'm really looking forward to what that brings us in the future.
Reaping the reward. What size is your pomegranate now?
I would say just yesterday, a pigeon flew into my conservatory and was like flapping its wings and mashing up loads of my plants. And it was right on the little quite a big pomegranate tree pot. And I was just very brave and just pulled it out from underneath it and saved it. And then I had to catch the bird with a tea towel and take it out. The kids both found it hilarious.
Saving the tree.
So I saved the tree.
Good.
Some of the other stuff, not so much. Loads of marigolds are all beheaded. But the tree was saved. But call it a tree. I reckon it's about 8 inches tall.
Okay.
At the moment, it's a little baby.
And that's in your did you say in a conservatory?
It's in the conservatory at the moment.
Lovely.
It's in a fairly decent sized pot, and then I've got others that are just still in the little seedling tray that I need to pot on. But
we planted pomegranates. I think the frost got them.
Yeah,
I think we had 3 of them, and they were small. We don't buy anything big with trees; they're all sort of little plug plants.
Well, apparently this variety that I've got is hardy enough to be outside in the UK.
Oh, okay.
But I feel I might put some of them out, but one of them at least I'm going to keep inside in a pot for at least a year or two, just to make sure.
Well, talking about trees, what would be your one statement tree in the garden?
I think I've written down 2, but I think I'm going to go. I've got a lovely sort of very vibrant red acer, and I love it. I did write down also, we have one here, but it's not the type that I like, a tree peony. Ours are the kind of smaller yellow flower, but I saw one last week and it was like, the flowers were huge and they were white with like red and purple inside, and that was really striking.
Ooh. Tree peonies are incredible, aren't they? And again, it's a very vibrant, showy flower that you're after there. We have one tree peony and it's a pastely pink one with the enormous big flowers, and we do nothing to it. We inherited it and it just flowers every year, nice and early in the season.
It does.
We don't cut it back or anything.
No.
It seems to survive everything. Yeah, it is a monster. Yeah, they're great plants.
The most beautiful monster ever.
Absolutely.
And aces as well. That's one of my favourite trees. Spectacular all seasons.
Yeah. When I had the allotment in Brighton, we did like a sort of sensory Zen garden installation at a school in Lewisham quite a few years back. And there were a few materials over. So outside of my allotment shed, I created a Zen gravel pit with granite chips. I would sit and rake
it.
Yeah, well, just with my hand, just my fingers. I didn't have an actual rake, but I had a beautiful acer growing there at the side of it as well. And a little rockery with different little things growing in. It was like, as I say, it was my healing space up there.
Would you like a pond or a pool in your dream garden? And what plant would you like?
I love a pond just because I love all the habitat. Yeah. So in our little garden, one of the first things Cosmo and I did was I had this old sort of Belfast butler sink, and because it's quite compacted clay, there was no plug, so we just plugged it up with clay, and we put it into the ground in the corner of the garden with the log pile around it. And this year, for the first time, we're into our 3rd year here now. third year. And we've got little tadpoles swimming around in there. So he's very
brilliant.
excited. They found
That's
us
rewarding,
in the end.
isn't it?
Yeah, and it's very small. I mean, if you provide it, nature finds its way, doesn't it? So I very much love a pond. Although you could have a really nice big pond that also doubles up as a natural swimming pool. But I'm going to say pond.
That's a firm favourite.
I'm going to go pond.
So if you had one, would you like a natural swimming pool and then a pondy area?
I mean, if I could have both, for sure, yeah. I mean, one of the things I was learning on this course was this guy who makes what he calls wet systems, and through a series of pools and clever planting and aquatic life, you can take kind of sewage and wastewater, grey water, and maybe like 6 ponds on have
Filters
water
through.
that's filtered through, so you've got a natural swimming pond.
That is very interesting,
which is really, really, really cool. And the guy that was teaching us that's what he does as his job. So that was really awesome. So I love the idea of doing that one day.
What's the name of his business then?
He's called Jay Abrahams, and it's Biologic Design.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah,
we'll look that up.
He's shown us, like, in the presentation he gave us, like visually installations that he's done, but then also samples, like plastic bottles with samples from each pool, and like it's like dirty yellowy brown, and then it's like gradually cleaner, and the last two are just clear. And he's like, the last one, you could probably drink it and be fine, actually.
That's amazing, isn't it?
What is the plant that you want in that area?
I mean, I love the reeds, but I really love like the kind of the marsh marigolds, like those wild. I love those. Just because they're just a wild native plant, but they're lovely, bright yellow. Again, quite striking. There's a theme occurring, isn't there?
Yeah,
there is.
Sure
I love that.
I'm on board.
And what size is your pond going to be?
Oh, on a farm. We're on a farm, aren't we? Very, very, very
big.
Sort of, yes.
Just very big.
Expansive.
Massive.
Because, I mean, they recommend sort of in the permaculture thing having 10 to 15% of the site as kind of water features. And so the best thing to do is kind of create water holding as high up in the landscape. And then you can, through gravity and through trenches and swales or with pipes, then utilise that and distribute that. So a lot of it, I would imagine, would be there in case, like this time of year when we've had all this drought, I'd be utilising some of that water. But this one we're talking about is dedicated wildlife pond. So dedicated. that one would be just generously handed over to a kind of rewilding cluster.
Nice.
Or agri-wilding. There'll be some nuts and there'll be some fruits, but it's mostly for the animals.
And it's a dream garden, so you won't have drought.
No.
Oh, I can control the weather too.
Yeah, I don't know how, but we will figure that out.
Well, that's one of the things, I mean, one of the things at the beginning of all of this for me was reading that quote, despite all of our advancements and achievements, we still owe our existence to 6 inches of soil and the fact that it rains.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that a couple of times, not being able to fault it, and then thinking to myself, I can't do much about the weather, but maybe I could do something about soil. I remember having that thought, my kind of internal little dialogue. Right. And then finding out that actually, depending on what we do with soil, does change the weather. So it really does do everything.
Interesting.
If we fix the soil, we fix life from the ground up.
But when, when reservoirs are built, for example, that changes the weather systems around them and for, surrounding villages and areas. So it's not surprising. But your place is going to be on the in North Wales on the west coast, so you'll probably have plenty of rain anyway, won't you?
There'll probably be plenty of rain. Although, having said that, when we were there, I took a whole bag, and it's quite a few changes on trains from
waterproofs.
Of waterproofs and wellies and all of that. I didn't use that bag once. And what was really funny is I got off the train in Lewes at 11 o'clock on the Sunday night, ready for going to work on Monday, and it was raining. Down on the south coast, it was raining.
It's all over the place now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And would you like a little jetty?
Oh, right.
Going big
I'd have a little pedalo,
jetty.
Yeah, a little pedalo, and then me and both or one of the kids can pedal out, and maybe the grandkids one day. That would be the life.
Well then, what would be your favourite seating area and drink, and what plant would you have for that area?
I think it's got to be, it kind of goes together. I think it would be a little pergola. Well, a nice, not too little, a nice pergola.
Big
A nice,
pergola.
yeah.
And it will be covered with a grapevine.
Oh, yes.
Delicious sort of sweet dessert grapes. So we
Very
can just
nice.
munch those.
Pluck them off as you sit there.
And I would have a couple of hammocks, but there's also a deck chair. I love a deck chair. I think that's just growing up with Brighton Beach. Just
the
there.
wooden deck chair.
Yeah, the ones you
With
fight with
canvas.
to get up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, proper like old school stripes.
Yep.
Yeah, one of those.
Oh, sounds perfect. And the drink? What would you
A
drink?
drink. I mean, I'm quite a big fan of water.
Yeah.
I get that. Mummy is as well.
I'm not really
I am too.
I'm not really a big drinker. And I'm not really
kombucha.
into. I do occasionally indulge in a kombucha, or I used to brew my own water kefir, and that was really delicious.
Oh right.
Oh,
Yeah. You got your lemon, ginger, and honey as well. It's another drink.
I'm really partial to a really good smoothie as well. It'd probably be some sort of fruity smoothie. I make like a kind of, for the kids, I make what I call like my seed blend, and that will have like pumpkin, chia, flax, lots of hemp seed in there, and I just add random. I get a load of seeds and I'll just blend them all up and just add it into the mix. So it's a constantly evolving seed mix that we just chuck tablespoons in, whether it's smoothies or into their porridge, or sprinkle it on whatever. So they're getting all of that. And obviously I'm eating all of that too. So there'd be a good healthy bit of that.
And what's in the smoothie in terms of fruit and veg?
Do you know, I don't have a favourite. I really love a sort of good green smoothie. Lots of like kale, green apple, that kind of stuff, cucumber, a little bit of celery,
avocado,
that kind of stuff. Oh, avocado gives it that creaminess, yeah. But I also really have a soft spot for like a sort of, I do a lot of like banana, cherry, blueberry, sometimes mango, that kind of stuff as well. Yeah. So I wouldn't be able to choose between the two. I guess if this is Dream Garden, I've probably got one of each on the go.
A selection of smoothies.
Yeah.
Selection.
A smoothie selection, yeah.
With all the seeds thrown in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you blend them, are you doing them in a pestle and mortar, or have you got a little whizzer for them?
I've just got one of those little NutriBullet things with the little sort of grindy blade. Forget what they call it, the little milling one. I just use that. Oh, yeah. Just kind of shake it up a bit and then grind it up a little bit more, and that seems to work fine. Then I'm able to do like a whole container, because we get through it quick.
Yeah.
So I have to keep topping it up. And
delicious.
What else do I put in there? Nice. Sunflower seeds always put in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are good.
God, that beautiful.
Sounds lovely. Well, I'm going to read back to you your dream garden, just in case you want to change anything, if you need to change anything. Well, for the garden boundary, it was going to be walled garden if it was in an urban area, but then we figured out we're going to be in the countryside. We're going to have a living willow fedge, with kind of fields beyond kind of the sunset and the sea in the distance, and you're going to have a little farmhouse. Then you're going to have a greenhouse and a polytunnel, because we're going to give you that, with tomatoes kind of double down both sides. And the greenhouse was going to be old-fashioned with a white painted wood, with a grapevine growing up it, with different areas, possibly seating area. And of course, it's going to be compost heated. Then your 5 ornamentals, we had irises, all of them, because we love them all. Digitalis, Euryngums, Clematis, and the bleeding hearts, the white ones. Your 5 edibles, we had squash, lemon tree, raspberries, rhubarb, and pomegranate. Your 1 statement tree was a vibrant red acer, with a special mention to tree peonies. Then you wanted a really amazing pond. We were going to possibly put a little kind of natural swimming pool in there as well. Very big, with a rewilding cluster area, a pedalo to go on it, and some marsh marigolds around. And then finally you had a pergola with a couple of hammocks and a deck chair underneath, with a grapevine above, a dessert grape, and a selection of different smoothies and seed blend to go with that.
That is heaven, isn't it?
It does sound like heaven.
That, you know what? That's quite overwhelming having all that read back to me. I'm going to have to manifest all of that.
I would love you to manifest it, and then you let us know. Send the photos.
It might take a few years, but I'll get
there.
We'll
be watching.
Completely.
Well, that was absolutely wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us, Michael.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
That's been a good old chit-chat with Michael.